Hello everyone and welcome to Sunburned. Albino lists his top 20 favorite games of all time. About 4 years ago I made a top 10 favorite game list, and since then a lot of stuff's changed, and I felt like amending it but also making it twice as big for no reason. We're gonna see some games from the previous video jumbled around in different spots, and we're gonna see some newcomers that have cemented themselves at the core of my gamer identity. Also, as an additional rule, I'm limiting it to 1 entry per franchise, so I don't put 3 Fire Emblems and 4 Pokemons in there. Now let's get after it. Number 20, Might and Magic Clash of Heroes. I just absolutely love this turn-based strategy. It's kind of like a match 3, but with certain restrictions and mechanics that make it so engaging. Match 3 horizontally, you get a wall to block damage. Match 3 vertically, you get a charging formation that accumulates power and will go off after a set number of turns to break through your opponent's defenses and try to hit their back line. With things like linking and fusing, elite and champion variants, and units that all have their own stats and abilities, this unique genre could be so much more if someone would just expand on it with more games and more variants. The campaign is whatever, but quick matches against CPUs and human friends is a blast. The fundamentals are so strong that it boggles my mind they haven't exploded elsewhere. Number 19, Civilization 6. My first and only 4X game, Civilization 6 took a lot of tutorial searching, but once I got it even mildly down, I knew this was a game I could play for days at a time, which is how long a typical match takes anyway, so thank God. Building your empire against any number of others, advancing through time and researching new tech, fending off annoying-ass barbarians, building wonders, starting a religion, spreading your religion to other civilizations, having those civilizations say knock it off, keep doing it anyway, eventually go to war with them and wipe them off the face of the planet. There's a lot to learn, but it's so worth it. Number 18, Ratchet & Clank Up Your Arsenal. Rift Apart has come out since my last video, and while I did very much enjoy it, it still can't touch the replayability of Up Your Arsenal, and also the fact that basically everything about this game is perfect for its time. It legitimately does not have flaws. There are games with higher ceilings, but this game is always hitting its ceiling. Up Your Arsenal has definitely dropped a few places since it was ranked 8th in my last video, because my nostalgia for it has been waning more than it has for other games, but it's still immaculate as an experience. Number 17, Hollow Knight. I'm very excited for Silksong to make us all never touch this game again, but since it will never come out for as long as we fucking live, I still have to look back and appreciate Hollow Knight for being a game with a level of overall quality few games ever attain. You can dog it for a lack of weapon variety, but other than that, it's also pretty much perfect for what it is, and it deserves to be heralded whenever anyone talks about amazing indie games. Number 16, Divinity Original Sin 2. I maintain that this is one of the best PC games of all time, and certainly the best turn-based RPG. It's hard to describe exactly why, but if you play it, you'll get it. Tons of classes, lots of replayability, a deep story, and full-fledged co-op make it a must-buy. Number 15, Neo 2. This is one of those games where it's easy to forget how good it is, but then when you go back and play it again, you're like, holy shit, this is fun. I like Neo better than Souls games for the most part. The combat is faster, the movement is smoother, the theme and setting is cooler with all the Japanese folklore involved. Japanese culture just has the best demons. American folklore will be like, here's a ghost who screams, here's a ghost who cries, and then Japanese folklore is like, here's a turtle demon who kidnaps children, here's a lady with giant scissors and a freakish smile, here's a fucking umbrella that jumps around, here's a demon disguised as a wall. It's just more interesting. Number 14, Sly 2 and 3. I say 2 and 3 because I don't really know which one is better. I'm hoping to replay them once they get put back on the PS Plus later this month, and then I'll know for sure. But in the PS2 mascot trio rankings, I feel like Sly Cooper gets the short end of the cane when compared to Jak and Daxter and Ratchet & Clank, and it's undeserved, because Sly 2 and 3 are absolute bangers I like more than any of the others. The first game is kind of weird because it isn't even really a stealth game yet, but 2 and 3 implement the stealth mechanics and take the level structure to a series of small open worlds, and it gets much better as a result. Number 13, the original Spyro trilogy. I'm emphasizing original because the reignited trilogy is a sorry, glitchy, nostalgia warping mess, although it is still fun to play because it's hard to completely ruin Spyro unless you're every other Spyro game. Where's Spyro 4? Like, not even an announcement? Not even a rumor? When are you making a banger companion piece to Crash 4 It's About Time, because it would be about damn time for that shit too? I like all three games in the trilogy basically equally, with Spyro 1 maybe a little bit less, but they're all phenomenal. Number 12, Skyrim. Hey, I put in 1,000 hours just like everyone else. When Skyrim was in its heyday, there pretty much were no other games, even if there were plenty. And to this day, it's a gratifying game to fall back on whenever you've got the itch to explore a deep medieval playground. High Elf Master Race, by the way, sorry, they're just hotter. Number 11, Batman Arkham City. To this day, there has never been a more perfect superhero game. Infamous tried, Spider-Man got close, and Gotham Knights better shape the hell up, but Batman Arkham City is top-tier Batman action that refuses to be outdone. People say the perfect game doesn't exist, but I've already listed 3 of them in this video, and there's more coming. Number 10, Hitman 3. If I had to pick a favorite game of the trilogy, I think Hitman 2 has the best maps, but the way the franchise works is that you can import all of the content from the previous Hitman games into Hitman 3, so you're effectively playing everything on Hitman 3. This series is just goated, straight up. The murder puzzle playground is endlessly replayable. Once you memorize where everything is in a map, you can be a puppeteer god, pulling the strings of everyone around you and twisting them to your own ends. There are so many challenges and secrets, it's breathtaking, and I ate, slept, and shat these 3 games for like 4 months after I bought the full trilogy. Number 9, Crash 4, It's About Time. This is one of the best platformers ever made. Crash 4 absolutely kills it in the level design, the completionism, the difficulty, the variety, the customization. Like, damn, Crash 4 really is that bitch. It took me 75 hours to platinum it, and I loved every second I wasn't bashing my head against the wall, which was the last 30 hours or so it's kind of all I remember, but still. People talk about it recycling too much content for the completionist aspect, but recycling is good for the environment, especially when the environment is this fun and terrific. Number 8, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Can I get a best fighting game of all time? No rollback netcode sucks for online, but everything else is not only incredibly polished, balanced, and deep, but the sheer amount of content is unspeakable. No other fighting game has all this. 89 characters, almost as many stages, tons of items, even though most serious people don't use them, lots of modes, lots of unlocks, countless collectibles. It's just a morbidly obese fighting game. Smash Ultimate is the 1,000-pound sister of fighting games. It has the hypest crossovers, and the character reveal trailers were some of the most exciting announcements possible in the entire gaming industry. If a Smash character was going to get revealed at an event, people watched it like it was the Super Bowl. Smash Ultimate is just the absolute pinnacle of fighting game excellence, and the cultural impact was felt far outside the fighting game sphere. Number 7, Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness. Still my favorite Pokemon game, although Conquest has recently gotten very close. I actually had some help downloading a ROM hack for this game that brings it to the 7th generation with new moves, types, and shadow Pokemon, and stuff like that completely revitalizes a game that's been the same for almost 20 years. Now I just gotta figure out the randomizer and I'll be all set. The director of Pokemon is on record saying they'll never do another game like this because he's a killjoy, but Gale of Darkness was special, and I hope they boot him out and replace him with someone who understands what real gamers want. Number 6, Mod Nation Racers. Best racing game of all time? Yes, actually, and it's a shame that most of you probably never heard of it. Mod Nation Racers came out on PS3 by the people who would eventually go on to make Little Big Planet karting and bankrupt themselves into oblivion by leeching their own player base off into a much shittier, pointless game. Mod Nation Racers is the single most customizable racing experience ever, where you can paint your character and your car from scratch, turning your art into stickers and creating gorgeous patterns with them. The racing itself was simple, with boost being gained from drifting and aerial spins, and then being used for both enhanced speed and shielding enemy attacks. Boost management was everything. There wasn't a ton of weapon variety, but races were just a blast in a way no other racing game has made me feel before or since. The game is long dead, and they need to bring it back in a big way. Number 5, Danganronpa Trilogy. I like all of them the same. Each of them falters in different areas and excels in others, and they balance each other out that way. There is no other mystery experience like Danganronpa. 16 high schoolers, each with a unique ultimate talent, are trapped in an academy, and it's explained that the only way out is for someone to get away with murder. When a murder occurs, the scene is investigated and a trial is held to determine who the guilty party is. If they get away with it, they live and everyone else dies. If they don't, they die. and it's so riveting and exhilarating because you don't want the characters you're getting attached to get murdered or to become murderers, so it plays with your heartstrings, and if you let yourself be taken in by it, it's truly affecting. It's been over 5 years since a true Danganronpa game, because we're all going to pretend Gotcha-Rompa Summer Camp doesn't exist, and it really makes me sad that a series this brilliant can just end when there could be infinitely more installments if handled with the same care. Number 4, Monster Sanctuary. The best creature capture game on the market. Yes, that includes Pokemon. Monster Sanctuary goes insanely deeper than any other creature capture game, with very large skill trees for each monster, with active and passive abilities to be built in multiple ways. On top of that, it's a Metroidvania with terrific exploration and rewarding secrets, and as of recently, built-in randomizer and Nuzlocke modes just to enhance the replayability to infinity. I beat the game 3 times initially when it launched, then when the randomizer came out, I started 4 more files and went pretty far in each of them. It's just addicting, and aside from a couple annoying puzzles, this game is also flat out perfect. Number 3, Kingdom Hearts 2. You'll never see this game leave the top 5. Kingdom Hearts 2 is peak Kingdom Hearts for a lot of people, and I do tend to agree. While I think KH3 expanded combat in some neat ways, attraction commands notwithstanding, I do miss the drive forms of 2, and things were still pretty tight for the most part back then, instead of zipping all over the place, which can be fun, but also imprecise. This was probably the most defining franchise of my childhood, so it's always going to be there, and it would be really nice if Kingdom Hearts 4 comes out and blows everything before it away in the next couple of decades. Number 2, Ori and the Will-O-the-Wisps. I was actually replaying Ori and the Blind Forest a couple weeks ago, and I'm previously on record stating that the Will-O-the-Wisps is a sequel that completely invalidates the first game mechanically with all the improvements made to the combat. But I have to take that back because Ori and the Blind Forest is still an absolute banger, even on replay after experiencing the sequel. That said, Will-O-the-Wisps is better to play, and is a game I would recommend with my full chest in any situation. The Ori series is a juggernaut of art direction. These games are quite possibly the most stunningly beautiful games ever created, so it helps that they also play like a dream and deliver a gripping emotional narrative while being super fun to explore and go for 100% completion. Number 1, Fire Emblem Three Houses. This game takes roughly 70 to 80 hours to complete one of its 4 routes the first time around. I've beaten it 11 times. Three Houses is the most replayable Fire Emblem game ever, with each New Game Plus file adding to the previous one, until you can make each of your units utterly unstoppable warlords from the word go. God, I love the power. The Academy-like structure allows you to truly customize your students like never before, while also getting attached to them like never before, and I have no idea how they can keep this series going without it. Going back into business as usual Fire Emblem would feel incredibly unsatisfying. I want to mold my units like clay sculpted from the hand of God, and Three Houses facilitates that. My previous favorite Fire Emblem was Path of Radiance, and I have played that again since playing Three Houses, and while it's still incredibly good narratively and functionally, I can't tolerate the biorhythm mechanic anymore, and there's just nowhere near as much variety and flexibility as Three Houses offers. It's a Switch game, which means it runs poorly sometimes, and graphically does not reach the heights it deserves, but after over 400 hours of character investment and pure joy, I can safely say Fire Emblem Three Houses is my favorite game of all time. Well, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to like it if you did to help boost it in the algorithm. Follow me on Twitter at Sunburned Albino. Watch all my other videos in order from most to least favorite, and I'll see you guys next time.